So she sent me a picture of yours with her.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi Shri. Hi Supriya.
Supriya, are you mute? We can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Supriya.
Can you hear her, Shri?
Yeah.
Yes,
So again, it's my problem now.
we can hear you though. We could hear you
Can you hear
fine.
me?
Yes, we can.
But I can't hear you.
Oh,
She can't hear.
okay. Uh, do you just want to refresh Supriya once? And because you could hear me in the backstage, right? I mean, we are fine. Shri, you can hear me well?
I can.
Can she hear you, Shri?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, great. Yes.
Challenges never ending.
So, a very good evening, everyone, and thank you so much, Supriya and Shrilakshmi, for joining us today. Very happy to be doing the session 2 of our series of celebrating inspiring women leaders. From Mysore, from tier 2 cities, and the resilient. This is the Resilient Women series, and thank you, Shri, for getting another such inspiring leader like Supriya to the show. And we are very excited to hear your story today, Supriya. And thank you all who have joined us. And we are now live on our LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. So a lot more people are viewing us live. So we'll just start without any further delays. I'll just go on to introduce Shri and Supriya, and then Supriya will start. I have a few questions for you, then she also has a few she has a few questions, so we'll keep the chat very candid, and it's just about your journey and how you want to portray that today on our platform. So really
Sure.
looking forward. Yes, so Shrilakshmi Desiraju, who is my co-host on this show today, is a very seasoned entrepreneur from Mysore, and is the co-founder and CEO AA Probiotics, advisor, mentor, and a keynote speaker. Supriya Salian, who has joined us today as our very special guest from Mysore, is the MD of Plan C India High Performance Materials Private Limited, and also is the chairperson CII Mysore. And Supriya, if I'm not wrong, what I read from your bio, that you are the first woman who has been in this role. So congratulations on that. We'll
Thank
know
you.
more on that as we speak. So Supriya, we'll start the discussion by you telling us a little bit about yourself, what you are doing, what is Plan C, and
Mhm.
how did you join Plan C? What has been your journey, and a
Oh,
little bit about yourself, also leaving the business aside. So we'll start with that, Supriya. Over to you.
right. Thank you so much. Very good evening. Very happy to be here and share my experiences with everyone. When you say a little about yourself, I think I'm thinking where I should start. I'm someone whose identity is very closely associated with the work that I do. So maybe I'll start with really what I do. Like you mentioned, I'm today the managing director of an organization called Plan C India High Performance Materials. We're a part of a group of companies called Plan C, which is headquartered in Austria. We're in the field of hardcore engineering and manufacturing. We're in the field of metals and materials. So we work with two very specific materials called tungsten and molybdenum. And these find applications in various industries. From typically, if you think of tungsten, the first thing that should come to anybody's mind is a light bulb that we would see. I don't know what's the age group of the people here, but that the light bulb that we would see at homes, we would have a tungsten filament which would be glowing. But tungsten finds a lot of other applications, whether it's in healthcare industry or high temperature furnace applications, or something that's more relatable maybe is your cell phones. Every time your cell phone vibrates, there's a small part of tungsten that makes your phone vibrate. Every time somebody goes for a CT scan or an X-ray, there is a very important part of tungsten that's used in the equipment. In aerospace and defense industry, there's a lot of applications. So we are basically manufacturing parts for all these different industries.
Yeah.
We are headquartered in Austria, but we are a wholly owned subsidiary here in Mysore. We have about 600 people who are working here with us,
Yeah.
and I have the privilege of heading this organization. Apart from that, as you mentioned, I am a part of Confederation of Indian Industries, CII, in the Mysore chapter, and 2 years back I was in the position of the chairperson of the CII Mysore chapter. The Mysore chapter of CII has been existing for 30 years, and there wasn't a woman who had chaired it in the past. So when somebody talked to me, I said, yeah, somebody has to break this, and I would be privileged to be the first woman to be able to do that. Apart from that, I'm I'm also on the board of the CII Karnataka chapter now, so
Okay.
a little bit of contribution there. Apart from work, I like to travel. I like to read. I know it's very, very cliche. I'm an early riser, so I'm generally up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I hit the gym at 5:30, but I'm fast asleep generally by 10 o'clock. I'm a mom to a 17-year-old daughter and also to a 3-year-old doggy. So that's a little bit about myself, maybe.
Wonderful, wonderful, Supriya. Very good to know, about your journey, and you have put it very nicely. I think you started with work, and then you told us a little bit about who you are as a person. So it always helps. Shri, anything? My next question to Supriya is about, how did an industry like this happen? What was your journey there? How did you choose? Because if you see, we don't see a lot of women in this industry even today, right? I mean, and obviously, so what has been your journey there? Because you also said, I mean, while you were talking to me, you also mentioned that this might not have been something you started from scratch, but you joined at a point. But so what, I mean, what was your journey there? How did it start? Shri, anything
Sure.
you'd like to add here, in my, or
So yeah, that is. I know Plan C is not a family-based business. It's out of Austria, and there are, but
yes,
definitely would not be nice, to hear the story behind it. So how did
exactly.
Sure.
it all started?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
As much as you are at the helm of it, it would be nice to go back in the history a bit and understand how it started and.
And why
Uh,
did you select? I mean, there must
Correct.
have been something. Why did you decide to do this? So a little bit on that, Supriya.
Sure, sure. So let me go back a couple of years back. I'm basically from Pune, not from
Okay,
Mysore.
okay,
And I was growing up, we were growing up as two sisters in the early 80s. And one evening, my dad was working with Tatas in Pune. One evening, he came home and he called my sister and me and the family, and he said, I was, I think, maybe 10, 11 years old.
yeah,
And he told my sister and me that while I've been working for so many years and I really enjoy my job, it's my dream and ambition to be an entrepreneur.
oh,
And
wonderful,
I want to start something on my own.
yeah.
And as little girls of 10 and 12, nothing mattered to us. We said, very good, go ahead. And then he threw the next bomb on us and he told us that this means that we're going to leave Pune and we're
Okay,
all going to travel to a city in south called Mysore, where we knew
okay,
nobody, we didn't know the language. But he said, that's where I'm going to start the business, because that's where I have a friend with whom I'm going to do it. And that's how in 91 we moved from Pune to Mysore. I think though we did, for my sister and me, the biggest disappointment was that we're going to leave our set of friends, our school, the city that we knew about. We didn't really care.
of
What a
course.
big decision it was for my parents to leave everything and to move to a whole new city and to start from scratch, having responsibility of your children, having your parents with you, none of that really mattered to us. So that's, I think, very, unknowingly, my parents gave us a very big lesson to my sister and me, that if you want to do something, you have to get out of your comfort zone. So move. We're all going now to this new place, and that's how we started a new life in Mysore. And my dad started a company in 91, which was typically for manufacturing tungsten and molybdenum wires. At that time, they were used for the lighting industry. So that's how the business came into existence. And he and his friends put together this with whatever small life earnings at that time that they have. And then they really put their heart and soul and they started growing it. How did I come into the picture? As a child, whenever I had summer vacations, I would come and spend time in the factory doing little things. Sometimes I would write labels. Sometimes I would do some quality inspection. So I would love to come and spend time in the factory. If it was related to work, is when my dad would allow us to come and spend time here. So having done that, I did my engineering in Mysore, and then I had gone to do my master's in the US for 2 years. The only thing I was sure when I went to do my master's was that I was going to come back to India. I didn't want to settle down in the US. As soon as I finished my master's in engineering, I came back. It was absolutely not my intention to come and start working with my dad. I was looking for a job in Bangalore. But there was 6 months time between the time that I came back and between the time that I was getting married. So I had just come back home after living for 3 years outside. So I said 6 months I'll stay at home, and then when I move to Bangalore, and then I will look for a job. So again, in that 6 months, I said, I don't want to sit at home and do nothing. Maybe I'll come and spend time in the factory like I used to. My dad said, you're more than welcome. So I used to come and spend time. I was building some small networks, a computer network for them, because that's something that I had worked in the US. I used to develop some small Excel files and applications. And that's how I started working, slowly. And then, as much as I wanted to move to Bangalore, it never happened. I was very happy to stay back. One day, I told my dad that I've been working now. Is it okay with you that I will stay back? I would like to work. And my impression was that my dad would be really very happy and excited and say, yes, you're more than welcome. Well, he did say you're more than welcome, but then he also told me that you can. But you will start like any other graduate engineer who starts with us. So you will start at the bottom, find your way, learn your things. And I did not really understand what he meant. I was very excited and I said, yes, I will do it. But that's how I really started working in production. I started working in quality. Some days I used to get really irritated, because if I didn't go to work one day, I had to fill a leave card, or if I missed days at work, my salary would be deducted. And I was like, this is not what I expect. This is not what I was here for. But looking back, I think that was one of the best things that could have happened to me. I think it showed me the value of showing up every day. It gave me a lot of knowledge on the basics of everything. I was really hands-on, whether I was working in quality or inspection or production. And while I was working, after a couple of years, we started this discussion with Plan C, and Plan C decided to acquire the earlier company, which was called Wolfratech. They acquired the company. My dad and I continued to work. My dad was still working for till about 5 years ago. But that's when I also started looking at it as a career opportunity. It was not because I could see that now from a small family-owned business, we had opportunities to grow into something much bigger, giving me also bigger opportunities. So after that, I continued to move. I'm from an engineering background. To a year and a half after Plan C acquired, they were looking out for a CFO position. So I said, I don't have the background, but I would love to try doing something which is different and not in my area. If I'm given the opportunity. So they said, okay, let's give it a try. I went back to school. I did a couple of courses on finance and financial management, and I headed the company as in terms of finance and administration for a few years. Then having done that, I said, okay, now let me move back to operations. So I headed the operations for a few years. I really moved in different roles. And then 5 years ago, when my dad was retiring, or we made him retire at some point, saying that, okay, now you need to get back and take some rest. And that's when I took over as the managing director, and that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. That's how it
Wonderful,
got.
wonderful. Supriya. What a nice story. I mean, I'm so glad, we asked you this question. And that entire shift, from Pune, because, when we say from Mysore, my impression was that you must have been born and brought up in Mysore, started, this, like she also said, not a family business, but a little different there, right? The story is a little different. And like two very key points, I think, of moving out of your comfort zone. Once, your parents doing that when you guys were younger, and once when you came and joined the company,
Mhm.
but did not, but got a treatment like, every other employee. So, I mean, that is one, I think these are teachings that stays with you and has
Right.
shaped who you are today.
Right.
So,
Other than that, it didn't really matter to me that it was. It never crossed my mind that, oh, it's manufacturing. Shall I do
yeah,
it? Shall I not do it? Will
yes,
I have any restrictions? I think one thing that as a mom, when we were
yeah,
growing up as two sisters,
yeah,
my mom was always of this that you have to have your career. So
yeah,
for me, it was a career option. It
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
matter that it was manufacturing or it was a shop floor
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
whatever came, as long as I was enjoying it, I just
I
kept
know,
doing
I
it.
know,
So it
I know.
was,
So that never came, being a woman going into, so that
yeah.
thought never came. It was work for you, and that is
It
how,
was work. Yeah, it was a
yeah.
career. It was a
Yes,
career
oh,
choice.
wonderful. I think that's really, nice to see. I mean, that kind of a mindset. When you grow up in that kind of a mindset, you can also pass that on, right? And that has really helped you. So, Supriya, do you see, like now in your organization, do you see a lot of women, in this sector? Or, actually, what I want to ask is, and it can be a women's story since we are talking about women, or
Mhm.
any other, like, because you have been working in this sector for some time and in your business in general. So any customer stories or any team, team stories that has stuck with you, one or two instances which motivates you to do better, do more in this field, and just keep go. Anything you'd like to
Mhm.
share with us here?
Mhm. I remember the first story that comes to my mind is always before I took on the managing director
Yeah,
position. For a year, I took kind of a backseat and went back to school. I did
okay.
a 1 year management program at Harvard Business
Oh,
School,
wonderful.
and then I was extremely excited that yes, I'm now equipped and I'm going to start this new position.
Yeah,
Uh, with the full capacity.
yeah,
So I did that, and we had this farewell for my dad. And I was telling everybody when I spoke that there's going to be a big shift because there's a lot of difference between though my values come from my dad, there is
yeah,
definitely a difference in the generation and how work and
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Uh, Probably 2 weeks since I had taken over, and I received a call late in the evening from the shop floor once that there has been an accident on the shop floor and we want you to come here. And I threw everything and I ran back on the shop floor. And then I realized and I saw that there was this young boy, maybe 23, 24 years old, who had managed to cut through his leg with the saw while he was working and he was lying down. And then there were 15 other people who were surrounding, and they were looking at him, and then they were looking at me, and then they were looking at him. And that's when I was scared myself. But that's when I realized, what does a position of leadership mean? To be able to keep aside your fears, to be able
yeah.
to really put your mind to work, because that's when your mind needs to work the most,
I
when you're under stress and when you know that there is a difficult situation.
absolutely.
And to be able to fulfill what your people are expecting from you.
Yeah,
Everybody's scared, but you need to put aside your fears and tell them that this is going to be all right. We are going to come out of it. The boy is going to be all right, and he is. I mean, he still works with us, and everything went at God's grace. Everything went well. I think that was my biggest leadership lessons,
yeah,
and it's not something that any book can teach you. It's not something that
absolutely.
it only comes when you fall into it and you
Yeah,
know what should guide you to take a decision at that stage. What are your values? What is important at that stage?
yeah,
What is it that will guide you to take a decision? I think
absolutely.
that's one thing that always sticks to me. And apart from that, it's as much as you say that there are still very few women in the manufacturing field. I see it when I'm in CII meetings. I see it when
Yes.
I'm at my own company when we're in global meetings or attending global leadership. So it's not expected to have women in
Yes.
leadership positions in
Yeah.
manufacturing. And it always amuses me, a lot of times when I send out a mail, let's say to somebody who doesn't know me, who's not
Yeah.
in India, who can't recognize that it's a woman's name, if I send out a mail with my signature,
Yeah.
I can tell you 3 out of 5 times I get back a mail which says "Dear Mr. Supriya
Yeah.
Salian." So it still amuses me how much unconscious bias we have
Certainly.
in the system. And one option is to let it go, but I think we should not let it go. So I make sure, even if I have nothing to write back, I write back saying that it's Miss Supriya Salian. So it's when I was younger, it used to annoy me. It used to annoy me, and I would want to fight. But now I realize that it doesn't help. If you need to prove your point, but you can do it this way or that way. But you need to prove your points. I still will not keep quiet and let it pass. At least it doesn't
I
happen to
know. I
somebody
know.
else.
No, I'm sure, let it go is not, should not be an option anymore, at least, and whoever,
Absolutely.
like whatever you said, it may be as little as sending them a mail back, correcting, and that is something that you did. And I think that concept, that mindset you grew up with, then when you joined business, you did not think that it was manufacturing or something else. If we can at least, get that mindset to a lot of people, a lot of the younger generation, who are coming and choosing sectors. I think that is one thing, that can, like, consciously we can take steps to,
Correct.
do that as communities, as women, as entrepreneurs in today's world. Shri, now before I move on to my next questions, over to you to ask a few questions, to Supriya. And yes, Shri, over to you, and share anything that you may know of Supriya that we don't. So
Mhm.
please,
Uh,
yeah.
sure. So the first and foremost, as much as she talked about her mom, I know her mom personally. Actually, I don't know Supriya. I know her mom
Okay.
personally. I mean, she is a good friend of mine, quite senior, but more of a friend than what Supriya is for between two of us. But I can see just a full scale of what Vrushali, her name is, and what Vrushali is, and how Supriya is talking. It is just like a mirror image. Believe me, I haven't had it been, had I not known them first, then I would not have been able. So definitely, Vrushali has done a lot more than just being a mom, and
Yeah.
to encourage both the sisters to do
Exactly.
what they have done.
Yeah.
Again, I hear you, Supriya. I hear you that things had not been easy, and I can tell you, business at any stage, and I repeat myself this a lot actually. Any alphabet between C and O, whether it is CEO, COO, CFO, CXO, CTO, CPO, and so on and so forth, it doesn't come with power, it comes with responsibility. So it was so nice to hear that actually there was, you stood up there and you said, no, I want to take charge of this problem that has come on the shop floor. And this is as a leader, I would want these people to respect me also. And it's not about respect at that point. I think you must be more worried about that child, that kid's leg, rather than anything else. Another thing which and humility is thy word for Supriya. She doesn't say a lot of things, but Plan C over the years has been getting export awards.
Mhm.
Over the years, MSME Export Awards goes to Plan C. I mean, this
Mhm.
has been like a trend. If we don't see it every year, then I have some friends who are working in her factory, and I do actually send them message. Kya hua? What happened? You have not put any post with regards to that. Plan C has not
Mhm.
put any words, and promptly next day I will see a post on LinkedIn or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wonderful.
What and getting an export award, it's not about getting an award. Awards also come with a lot of responsibilities. Yeah,
Mhm.
to relate to that, right? Awards, accolades, everything puts you on that mantle that you have to now perform even better.
Yeah.
Awards and accolades puts you on that mantle where you have to be more conscious about it.
Mhm.
Obviously. And if it is an export award, obviously quality must have been something that has been very strict, and the QMS and everything in place. How did
Mhm.
it go for you? As you say, it is a male bastion field. How did it go? How did you make sure that you carried the team, that looked at it as a year on year, the team is actually looking at as making it a benchmark so that they should be recognized.
Mhm.
And here, if I may add, Supriya, because she has put obviously about how did it go, but also few challenges maybe you can tell us about along the way. So there must have been challenges, and how you have overcome them. So I think these both the questions you can decide to include
Sure.
those also. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so actually, I just want to correct one small thing. So we are not, and in the last 5 years, I think we have doubled in terms of growth, in terms of turnover, as well as the numbers. So from an MSME, we are now a large scale, full-fledged large
Yeah.
scale
Yeah.
company. And like you said, the award is an outcome of what happens in the background, really.
Certainly.
So when we had this change in leadership, my dad had run the company for 30 plus years and run it. uh, when somebody would ask me, how will you what does it feel to put on your dad's shoes, I said, there's no way that I can put on my dad's shoes.
Mhm.
And that's not even my aspiration. My aspiration is to be able to build on the values that he has
Already
brought this
said.
company, or the values that he has instilled in us, and to be able to build on it, to make the changes that are necessary, to make the changes that come with a shift in generation, and to be able to grow this further. This was not easy because our leadership styles are very different. A lot of times people would come and tell me, your dad has an authority in the company, he knows everything, how will you be able to run the company? I'm softer, I'm not very aggressive. You once in a way, but you will not be
Yeah.
you'll not hear me speaking loudly. So these very, again, in an unconscious bias, these go against you being a successful leader. You're not expected to be successful.
Yeah.
It took a lot of communication. It took a lot of expectation setting. In the end, I think if you are able to show to your people that we are in this together and my intentions are not for myself, my intentions are for this whole company to be able to grow, I think people are with you. What do people want? They want their individual growth. They want to have opportunities to learn. They want to have a safe environment where they can be themselves. They want they want to try different things. They want to do something beyond work. So when you're able to give all these things to the people, to your team, I think they put 150% of what you expect out of them. Having said that, there was a lot of we did a lot of different things. So let's say in the past we were working with one industry, let's say automotive. Automotive industry has A, B, C, D as requirements. From there, today in the last 5 years, we have moved to completely different industries. We work with semiconductor, we work with medical and healthcare, aerospace, defense. Each of these industries have a different set of requirements. If if uh, if if automotive expects you to have a certain level of defects, medical tells you that I want zero defect. I don't want an equipment to fail when I'm using it. One thing is to invest. Yes, you can invest in the most expensive technology, equipment,
Yeah.
but what's most challenging is to bring your people together to be able to learn it. When you're moving and when you're shifting and when you're uh, growing and ramping up very, very quickly, people come under a lot of
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah.
You need to train them in different ways. You need to bring people. Now I'm doing something for 5 years. Now I need to learn how to delegate this, let go of a little bit, delegate it to somebody else. You need to tell them to keep shifting your minds. You need to
Yeah.
teach them to unlearn something, learn something again, because the requirements are different. So while it is a challenge, it's also opportunity that people
Certainly.
saw while coming. I think and the result of all this was in the last 5 years, every project that we did, we were able to successfully implement it to a
Yeah.
large scale. So every time you do something successfully, you're able to take on something else.
Yeah.
And 85 to 90% of what we do, we are exporting. So a strong team behind it. When you say export, I think people a few years ago, or let's say a decade ago, expectations from from somebody outside from India was that you are a low cost country of manufacturing. Today it has changed drastically. It's no more related to a low cost manufacturing. It's really the skill set that we have. It's the talent that we have. So to be able to do higher end work, and again, equipment you can do, but it's really the people who have to be able to.
Certainly.
So when you're working in an export market, you really have to understand. Sometimes it's things as little as different cultures in the other
Yeah.
countries. Right? If you're working with someone in Japan, you need to know what is important to them. You cannot treat them the same way or work with them the same way as you would do when you're working with somebody
Yeah.
in the US. So it's really different aspects that you need to learn, understand, and also have all the people
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
with you learn and understand. And I think that's finally that kind of works. It's the team then that keeps taking you,
And
and
it
then
is a
then
very
and then
people.
they have this ambition of wanting to do something more,
Mhm.
right? Once they
Yes.
once you get into this mode, it's like yes, okay, let's try this.
Yes.
Yes, please,
Yes.
let's
Yes.
try this.
And it
So
is a very
nice.
people, intensive industry, right? Obviously, so the people, you like you are saying, machines and all are one part of it, the investments, but people are what makes you know, makes it, keeps it going, basically. Yes, she.
No, I'm saying it is so nice to hear this. They say that women in the business, in the roles,
Yeah.
when they go beyond the glass ceilings and they do
Yeah.
something there,
Yeah. Yeah.
they are not as stiff as the men. And the
Mhm,
empathy part, actually, which actually brings in more output and
mhm,
more desire to do something for the business that you are into. It is just proven right now, Supriya, when I hear you, that those statements used to be always like, we haven't seen it yet, but yes, of course there are women who are on the leadership roles, and they are the ones who actually drive the industry in a different way. Scale up
mhm,
must not have been easy.
mhm.
It's so nice to hear that you have gone beyond MSME to the large scale. So
Yeah.
scale up
Yeah.
would not have been easy, and that too with the empathy around. You are actually
Mhm.
trying to make it happen. You are setting a standard out there in the industry, Supriya.
But Shreya, I just bring you mentioned about a woman leader and empathy and how we're able to do it. I think it's not that men are not like that or they don't want to. I think it's easy. I think the way we are brought up as a society, you're just expected as a man to be very strong and not show your
Yeah.
emotion.
Yeah.
And not,
Yeah.
for me, it's okay if there is an emotional situation, I'm fine with bringing out the emotion. And once you bring that out, you can see that the men also join in. It's
Yes.
not that they would step back and sometimes have difficult conversations, sometimes bring the emotion. And we saw this drastically when we went through the 2 years of COVID, because that
Yes.
was a stage where
Yeah.
you needed everybody to be that to have that element of empathy. But I do agree with you. I think with a woman leader, it's maybe it was just easier to be vulnerable. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
fine. There's occasions where I feel I'm too stressed or in a difficult situation. I'm fine if I shed a few tears. I don't feel that I'm going to be I become a weak person just because I have emotions. So
No, no. In fact, it's always said that EQ has to be more than IQ. EQ works better in businesses than IQ. And this is one classic case that I'm hearing from you, that the emotional quotient actually helps you to do things better.
Yeah.
And rightly said, men are even more emotional than what we are. We are a very tough species. Anything happens, we stand up and we take charge of things. Men are not that way. And again, I repeat myself, but in some of my talks, I say that yeah, I haven't seen a woman farmer going and committing suicide. Man would not be able to take, because absolutely right that we have put things in a box for the gender.
Mhm.
Entrepreneurship actually, or running a company actually, is not gender biased. Like,
Yeah.
it cannot be. The same problems, running of finance, market
Yeah.
access,
Yeah.
running a team, taking decisions on the higher level, everything
Mhm.
things remains the same for you and for any man who would be there.
Mhm.
They Nobody has can shy, but we just don't expect men to cry, and we just don't expect men to show their vulnerability. So that's why we realize that they are stiff, they are not
Yeah.
able to talk to us so
Right.
easily, and that's
Yeah.
what comes out. So it's our actually understanding about the situation, not really what is out
I
there.
know, and there's a judgment, like Supriya said, right? Men are expected to be,
Ex-
which needs to change, and which is changing. I won't even, somewhere we are, it's a progress. I think, it's, I mean, it will take time for it to entirely change. Like, how we are talking about women and, getting these women stories out. So,
yes.
men also, I mean, there's a lot of work going on either ways. So,
Yeah, but I think it's also a culture that we build in. I
yeah,
think I work with an amazing set of
yeah,
men
yeah,
in our team,
exactly,
and
exactly.
we're okay to ask each other every morning, how are you doing? Something
I know.
as simple as that. And it's
Yes.
okay. Sometimes I have to say that today I had a difficult day at home because of XYZ reason. So
Yeah.
it's just a culture probably that
Yeah,
we have to set
yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. That's the shift, the mindset shift. If each individual starts doing that, and it's okay for a men also to say that there were problems at home, and that's why some. I mean, it's okay. We just need to normalize
Mhm.
that. So no, wonderful. So
Mhm.
Supriya, I understand, because we have now spoken about your journey, your business, your industry, and also the challenges, etc. And I understand that your industry is a very offline kind of a going to office. That is
Right.
a lot of people involved. And she also, you both come from, like, you a similar kind of a this thing, where maybe a lot of tech or tools are involved. But in today's hybrid world, every post COVID especially, what
Mhm.
have you or your team, how have you been able to move through this entire hybrid thing? Anything that affected, any tools or tech that you use, or you wish that your team can use more, to just to be able to work better in this new hybrid world? Anything, Shri, you were saying?
She was saying something.
Yeah,
No, no,
Shri.
no. I'm just
Okay.
hearing you out.
Oh,
No, no. Please
okay.
go ahead.
So
Wonderful
yeah,
question.
so we are a very hardcore industry,
Yeah,
manufacturing industry. So
yes,
there isn't much that we
yeah,
go in the hybrid world, but we definitely had to when we went through
yes,
COVID. While the
yes,
manufacturing staff on the shop floor was coming every day, everything else shifted to a hybrid world.
yeah,
We still use it. I mean, we
yes,
still have it. I think it's just quicker sometimes
yes,
to be able to be accessible
yes,
virtually. So we
yes,
definitely
certainly,
use tools. It's
certainly,
helped us a lot with customer meetings. So we would not
exactly.
earlier imagine that you can take important decisions and do deals
Yes,
over a
yeah,
call. So
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
definitely helped. But I think apart from all that, we really use technology to not just connect in the hybrid world with people, but to connect machines. So that has helped us considerably. So we do a lot of transfer projects. So we do projects where we have a site in Austria where we move the equipment to India, or we had a site in California which we closed and we brought the entire setup to
okay,
India.
okay,
Earlier we always needed somebody to come from there and help us install. We didn't have the option when we were on
yeah,
COVID, so we switched to this to the Microsoft edge device, is it called, where you can connect the glasses to your computer.
yeah,
And when I'm working here and looking at the machine, my colleague in Austria can exactly see
what is that? Yeah,
what is happening, and then they helped us to set up the equipment,
yeah,
give us training on the equipment. So I think whether you are manufacturing or
yeah,
whatever industry,
industry,
staying away from technology
is not
is
going to
not something that is
certainly,
going to work. And the sooner we accept it, because it's difficult in manufacturing, we're a very
yeah,
rigid industry, very orthodox
yeah,
industry.
yeah.
So to accept that I need to change I think is the
First step,
biggest thing.
yes.
So and I think the sooner we accept, the better it is to implement technology, even though you cannot work in a hybrid world per
Yeah,
se.
yeah, yeah. No, thank you for that, and I think those are very key points where you said that acceptance is required, whatever industry you are in, and that's why I wanted your perspective, because we come from tech backgrounds. We interact with a lot with businesses where they might do a lot of online work, etc. But from an industry like yours, like what has been the change post COVID? And I think pre-COVID, no one could even imagine a lot, that how much can be done over a video or over a call like that. Shri, before I come to my next question, it is obviously about Mysore and what has been, and both of you can share, your this thing. But Shri, anything you would want to, or you have something to ask, because my question really is about, how has the Mysore ecosystem helped, and do you ever feel like, if you are part of a tier 1 city, would it have been better, or you feel being at Mysore was better? So that perspective I wanted to get, and that would be my last question. So over to you, Shri, to add anything or share anything. You are on mute, Shri.
So my question was on actually the part of the last question, that how do you foster innovations and adaptability? We since her industry or my industry, this is one where you need to be on the shop floor, where you
Yeah,
need to be on
exactly.
in the building. You can't sit in the house and try to do these things, right?
Yeah.
Hardcore manufacturing, hardcore product development, hardcore companies where you have to be present. So it cannot work remotely for all said and done. So I was just going to ask the same, and very rightly said, it is very, very rigid industry, because you have to keep repeating the same thing so that the quality can be maintained.
Right.
It's not about innovation every single day. It's not about
Right.
new things every single day. So we have people who are good. So it's not from 0 to 1. This industry is more from 1 to n. So you have to keep doing it and innovation in there, so that the cost can come down, the profits can increase, the ease of doing the business is there. A following question to you, Supriya, was that how much of innovation and adaptability to the new technology is there in, and it ties up with what Ayushree had asked you, how it is helped in Mysore. Mysore, typically we have seen everything is little 1 day delay. Even come from Bangalore and do things around is 1 plus 1 day. Both of us know, Supriya, that things don't, if machine has broken down, it is +1 day. So that is by default a notion that we have accepted it over the years. So adapting to the new technologies, fostering innovation, how has it been for you? And it's very interesting for me to know, because this is the first time. This in my second venture is the first time that I am coming into manufacturing. So I have loads of things to actually beyond this interview also, beyond this
Yeah.
also, I'm going to sit and talk to you. How you
Yeah.
manage it, how you do it, and
Yeah.
successfully still keep up with the timelines, still keep up
Yeah.
with the quality, still keep up
Yeah.
with the way the world is functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think one is what you mentioned. In manufacturing, ideally, we don't want people to deviate from a set process that we ask them to work on. So that's
Yes.
our first requirement. If you have a procedure, don't deviate, just follow it. At the same time, it's very important to have innovation culture. And I think this is something that really helped us to learn from our parent company in Austria, because a lot of times as Indians, we're scared. We are not. We worry. If we should invest on something new, whether we should. And sometimes when in situations like this, we go to setting KPIs. So we have systems in place where we say that we want to invest this amount every year in R&D. This could mean that we are looking for different ways of doing the same thing. What is the risk that you can fail? So I think it's important that you develop the culture to say that it's okay to fail. This is the risk to which I'm willing to take a chance. I'm willing to put so much money, but let us try. And I think it really helped us to have to learn this from our Western colleagues. I think they're a little more open. They're a little more let's say dashing or courageous to be able to do that. And it is a challenge, because sometimes for us to think bigger, it's probably the way we are brought up. It's probably, at least with our generation, the way we were brought up or what we have seen, we are scared to take that bigger leap or to take this. I
No,
think
it
we
always
have to.
helps. Sorry.
No,
It
no.
always helps, I think. So when you have a partner from outside the country, those two cultures blending. Had an opportunity to work abroad in Canada in Pfizer projects. So that culture that was there, the accountability, it's not about just doing the work. And especially when we Indians take pride in that those so-called jugaad, it
Right.
becomes very difficult. Yes, that
Yeah,
is required because that is supposed to be common sense, but
yeah,
not in manufacturing because then the
Yeah.
quality gets compromised.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
definitely
So,
it is. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No,
Go
but
ahead.
I was just switching over to Ayushree's question on, typically
yeah.
on the tier two
Yes,
ecosystem and,
yes.
what my experience has
Has
been.
been. Yeah,
Uh, my first thing I would say is I would not trade Mysore for anything in the world today. I mean, it's a
yeah,
beautiful small town. What I really miss is sometimes to be able to go out and have a really nice meal, maybe, but then Bangalore's, close by. But
yes,
jokes apart, I think if I talk, there's definitely things that come up in terms of infrastructure. We will keep complaining that we don't have an airport. I travel very often, so I
yeah,
still have to do Mysore, Bangalore, but that's fine. It really doesn't bother me so much. But I think what needs to improve in tier two cities, I would say, from a professional woman's perspective, what would be really helpful is you still don't have options for a good childcare system, for example, right? Because you don't have a big professional network group of professional women who can use this kind of childcare system. So you still need to work. Something as small and simple as domestic help, somebody who can help you at home with cooking or cleaning. You will not find somebody in Mysore who's willing to come very early because Mysore is a very laid back town. So it's uh, most of the time women are available at home. So these are small things that come in your way. On the other side, there's a lot of pros. I think we have a lot of people who have moved from larger cities
yeah,
to Mysore, whether it's with our in our manufacturing setup, whether it's and generally definitely the quality of life is so much better. You have your employee retainability is higher because people
yeah,
don't want to leave, and that makes a lot of difference to your productivity, to your training costs in general. I think one of the things I would really feel is would be better is in terms of being able to create a network of professional women. I think this is something that's not
yeah,
because sometimes when I attend meetings of CII in Bangalore or there's an Indian Women's Network, you're able to connect with a much broad, and I think networking is really important for women. We don't give it as much importance as we should or could,
yeah.
and I think this is something that I would definitely miss in a tier two cities.
No, thanks, Supriya. And I think Shri also, keeps telling that there's so much talent, so much happening in Mysore, but and Bangalore, like where we are, Delhi, everything, it's too much right now. There's like an excess of everything here. If you see networking events, this that, and in fact, that is why Shri, I have been talking to Shri, and I know Shri since some time now. To see how can we get these stories of women like you who are, so that today somebody in Mysore sees your story, hears your story, some women there, they also feel that courage, they are also inspired to come out and speak
Mhm.
or do something. So really, I mean, that is the entire idea about this series and why we wanted to open up our platform with phone, for a series like this where we talk about your stories this way. Yes, Shri, you are saying something.
No, it's absolutely agree with you, Ayushree. Actually, the whole idea was under networking or network. In fact, Supriya, when I started my unit here in 2011,
Mhm.
believe me, for 1 hour of event, and that's how I met Ayushree actually. For 1 hour of event, 3 hours from one side and 4 hours from the other side, I used to run. People in the my previous venture used to make fun of me. Madam thak gaye, madam wants to go out to Bangalore. But it was
Mm.
not about going off to Bangalore. It was
Absolutely.
just
I
about
understand.
having that 1 hour of listening to something new.
Yeah,
1 hour of listening to
Correct.
something which would be exciting.
yeah,
1 hour
Correct.
of something that gives you perspective, a different perspective. Mysore as such is a very close town actually.
Yeah.
Not about any other social events, but at least if we wanted. And initial years, it used to be so overwhelming. Now it is much more easier. You find, online to talk to people. But initial years, it was very overwhelming. And so these were the events that actually kept me going initially also. And I think all of us feel that. So when we spoke about it, both me and Ayushree, we said, okay, let us start something like this. At least we
Yeah.
know that these many
Right.
women are here.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, we all meet on a coffee, or they will say, hey, you know what, I heard your story and I
Yeah.
liked it. And,
Yeah.
somewhere at least that part starts now. We have
Yeah.
TIE, we have CII
Yeah.
now. And they are doing a lot actually, been part of some of these, as she is from CII, I am part of TIE, but still a long road or a long way to go before we really see some of these things. So I think we need to thank you also, and Vidphone Jagat also,
The
that
initiative, yeah.
yeah, so
The
that
pleasure
you.
is ours, and I really hope we can collaborate and connect with a lot of you women and see what we can also get to Mysore for the Mysore ecosystem, and actually help. I mean, not just talk about it, but actually make some of these things happen, like help that way. So Shri, thanks a lot, and Shri, you are getting such amazing women like Supriya, and last time Krupa, and I'm sure we have a long series to go. And Supriya, thank you so much, for taking out time. I know you have a hard stop, and we do have some time. But Jagat, would you like to, if you are here, would you like to just say a few words?
No, I am here. Thank you so much. It's such a wonderful session. I had so much, of learning. Thanks, Supriya. I think that was a masterclass how to run a family business. Yeah. I think getting the kids involved at an early age, I think it's really wonderful. Uh, can't agree more because this is not the first event. So Shree's been following our work.
Yeah.
Ayushree, ever since she came, I said like, okay, just continue all of the work you're doing at that kind of CWA. I think that's pretty much the job description plus more. But I'm really happy to this is wonderful to hear. We want to get the hell out of Bangalore, so please get us some place in Mysore is good. My neighbor is actually from Mysore. He works at Microsoft, and we connect a lot on tech. He's just got a promotion and stuff, so he just every second minute he's off home. His mother and everyone's there, and he's just back few hours later. I'm like, he said, no, the highway's gotten really good, so
Yes.
those
Yes.
airport visits are a little
Connectivity
better
has
now. So, yeah. No, really wonderful. Didn't want to take too much time. Wanted to thank Shri Supriya, for enlightening
Yes.
us. So wonderful. And Ayushree as well. So over
Yes.
to all of you, and have a wonderful
Yes.
evening. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Supriya. Again, please do,
Yes.
attend more of our shows. Do refer to your networks, so that we can really reach out to a lot more women. And so the recording would be available on this same link that you have joined through. Not the
Okay.
co-presenter link, but the registration link. So I'll just share
Okay.
it with you guys. So once in about 10 to 15 minutes, as soon as we are done with this, the recording. So please feel free to share it, and then. There'll be shorter clips that will be put out over the next 1 week, of these conversations on LinkedIn and Facebook. So please feel free to share those too of the takeaways that we have had from your talk. So thank you again, and yes, have a great evening, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Ayushree. Thank you,
Thank you so
Shri.
much,
Thank you,
Ayushri.
Ayushri.
Thank you for everyone who has joined us and who are viewing us live. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.